Welcome to 10,000 Things with Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, where we tell you the 10,000 things you need to know to write, publish, and promote your book. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins.
And I'm Catherine Greenspan.
And tonight, we want to first say that we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary in business. 27 books later, we are so excited that you're here so that we can share all the things we've learned over these 5 years. And it's a lot. That's why we call the show 10,000 Things You Need to Know, because we're always learning every day. So, right now, we want to help you get off to a great start writing your book. I'm a book coach, and just this month, or just last month, it's February 1st now. So, January, I started my first session of my 6-month group book coaching program. And the first assignment that I give to the students is write your summary sentence. Now, this is something that I came up with in the course of writing 35 books. And the summary sentence is your why you're writing the book, it's your target audience, and it's your intention, like your overall big goal for the book. And so Catherine and I have been talking about the importance of the summary sentence that serves as sort of your beacon for your guiding light on your journey of writing your book, because you can easily get lost in the shadows when you're on this journey, because there's so many distractions and confusion and all kinds of things to cloud your vision. So when you have this written out, it becomes your destination and you want to stay focused on that. So, Catherine, what are your thoughts when we first started talking about the summary sentence? What did you think?
I thought it was at first, I thought it was a tagline. So, what was the book about? So,
Uh-huh.
I was really excited to learn that it merges three critically important components of writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
That's the why you're writing it, your target audience, and your intention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the why is something that every writer, I believe there's a calling. It's like a call from your soul, from your heart. I must write this book. I must share this message. But you have to keep that why in mind the whole time, especially during those moments when it's difficult. The writing isn't coming, or you're scared of something, or you're confused or overwhelmed. What is my why? That is the fuel that keeps you going through this difficult process that can take years. So, Catherine, what was your why when you wrote your 3 young adult novels, the Veronica series?
My why was so I wrote them as my master's thesis when I was at USF, the University of San Francisco, and I studied young adult books. I studied young adult fiction,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that the common thread between all of them was they were all about identity formation. So my why was to create some books about a biracial girl and share her identity formation with the world,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
That
there were no books about biracial girls then.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that so much. I have so many books around me. Um, our mother's why was that she wanted to share her triumph over abuse and a religious scandal, a racial scandal, unconventional marriage that people said wouldn't last. And she wanted to share her story to showcase the success to inspire others. My why for writing my memoir was I learned so much in my spiritual awakening and overcame so many challenges that I wanted to show and use this as a teaching tool to help other people. That's why I actually have a teaching section in it. And if we go through all the books that we've written for our authors, as writers for them and publishers, though they all have a very strong why. Former Detroit Mayor Dennis Archer's why was that he wanted to tell his story his way that the media had told so many times, and he wanted to preserve it for his grandsons. That's a very strong why. Some people want to get rich and famous. Some people want all the glory and acclaim of being a published author. Some people want to be on the bestseller list. So you have to know your why. Ask yourself that. When you are starting to write your book, why? And secondly, your target audience. Who is your reader? Who are you writing for? Just like if you're having a conversation, you need to know who you're talking to. If you're talking to your grandmother, or if you're talking to your friend, or if you're talking to a stranger in a business meeting that you just met, you're going to speak in three very different ways. Same goes with writing. Whoever your target audience is, you're going to address them in a specific manner. If you're a doctor writing a book for other doctors, you can use all kinds of medical lingo and talk about the boards and talk about your residency, and they'll know what you're talking about because they've been there. If you're a doctor writing a book for the mainstream population, you need to break it down so we understand. I don't know what boards are, what residency, what is that? I kind of heard about it, but what is it? So you have to break it down. And so it's very important to know and now starting off, everybody's like, well, I want everybody to read my book. Great. But you have to start off with a target audience. Don't you agree, Catherine?
Yeah, I do agree. And a lot of times the target audience is people think it's themselves. But it isn't. Once they start digging into it, it's maybe like for your book, yours is about your spiritual awakening. So your target audience would be like the way you were before your spiritual awakening, someone who was seeking guidance on what does this look like? How do I do it? What does it feel like? My target audience for the Veronica series is a 12-year-old girl. It's basically the 12-year-old girl or 11 or 12-year-old girl that I was, and that I know more biracial girls are out there now than were, when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you would write to that 12-year-old girl in a specific way, and you remember what her interests were because you used to be a 12-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And then the third part of the summary sentence is your intention. What is your big picture goal with this book? Do you want it to be part of a curriculum for an online course? Do you want it to be required reading for colleges and universities across the country? If it's a business book, do you want business schools to read it? Students in business school? What is your intention? Do you simply want to entertain people with your poetry or your storytelling? Do you want to provide a blueprint for success in a particular career that you've excelled in? There's so many different intentions. Yours is unique. That's why you must write this sentence, your why, your target audience, and your intention. Catherine, you want to speak on the power of intention when you set that at the outset?
Yeah, it's sort of it's the big picture. It's the reason that your book will come to fruition. Without the intention, your book is just going to languish because
Mm-hmm.
it's just an idea. But if you take the fuel of having your why, your target audience, and your intention all together, it's going to be like rocket fuel to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. I felt that way with my first novel. I felt like I really needed to tell a certain story, and I was just obsessed. I would get up really early to work right before I went to work as a newspaper reporter, and I felt that way when I was writing a screenplay called Redemption. I would get up at 5 a.m. to write before I went to my job at the health department. When you have that really strong intention, it's like this burning desire within, nothing can stop you. And we often hear that from our authors, like they're just determined. So in addition, and since this show is about getting you off to a great start when you start your book, in addition to your summary sentence, you also need to make time and space for your writing. It's not going to write itself, and the time is not just going to magically open up for you to write. So What I recommend is you look at your schedule and you determine where you have things you can cut out so you can sacrifice those for the greater um, goal of writing the book. So, just like you would schedule time for an appointment with a doctor or a dentist or a business meeting, you need to schedule an appointment with yourself to do the writing. And you also need to be aware of your body's rhythms when your brain energy is at its most brilliant, sharpest, most focused. Therefore, you use that time to do your writing. Don't try to write when you're tired. And the time can vary. Some people write best in the middle of the night. Some people write best in the middle of the day. Some people write best after a nap. Some people write best after a run. So you need to figure out your body's rhythm. And that includes all of the different variables that affect our concentration: temperature of the room, what you ate or drank or didn't eat or drink, exercise, spiritual practice like meditation, enough sleep. You determine what works best for you. I know mine because I've been doing this a long time. Catherine, do you have any suggestions about creating a schedule?
Yeah, I think it's critically important because I think a lot of times people have an idea for a book and then they start writing it and they're so excited. And then inevitably they hit a roadblock. Maybe they were writing every Saturday morning, and then one Saturday morning their schedule got interrupted and they weren't able to get back to it. Well, if you don't carve out the time every single week, what can happen is that manuscript can languish, and then when you go back to it, however many weeks or days later, you have to come at it with fresh eyes, reorient yourself. So if you are truly committed to writing a book, it's really important that you are, first of all, realistic about what you're capable of. And also come up with a strategy so that every time you come to your writing, you're not starting over with word one, because it's very easy to say, oh, you know what, let me just perfect this first sentence, first paragraph, first page. And you never get past the first couple of pages or, half dozen pages,
Mm-hmm.
because you're always coming at it from the beginning, and all you're doing is editing that anyway. So the point is, you have to commit to a schedule and it has to be realistic, or and you also need to prepare yourself for how are you going to respond when you're not able to write. How are you going to get back into it? It's like exercise. When you're doing it, it's great and you love it, but then when it's interrupted and you get out of the habit, restarting the habit is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great point. So keep that consistency and keep the schedule going.
Mhm,
Flex that writing muscle every day.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Or not necessarily, you don't have to do it every day. If your schedule doesn't permit, maybe your schedule only allows you to write twice a week, but commit to that.
Mm-hmm.
Commit to
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yes, commitment is huge. And one way to do that is, I said the time, but next is space. So you need an attractive, alluring space to do your writing, whether that's in the dining room, whether that's on the sofa, whether that's in your office, whether that's in a coffee shop, wherever you like to write, wherever your energy is good, you're focused, you won't be disturbed, where the temperature, the feeling, the visuals is all conducive to concentration and creativity. Catherine, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, and sometimes it isn't necessarily a room. Maybe it's like a walk-in closet. Maybe that's the only place you can have some private silent time. And if that's the case, then make it do the best you can. Maybe take a
Hmm.
pillow in there and sit on it, and a blanket and whatever's comfortable. Get a
Hmm.
little,
Hmm.
a tray so you can put a beverage on it or something, but I mean, if you really want to, I think we all know stories about people who got up early, like you did, Elizabeth, in the morning, because that was really the only time
Right.
that was your determined dedication.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
then keep tweaking it. If it's not working, don't do it. Keep changing it up until you find your right rhythm and your right groove.
Right, right. So when I worked at the newspaper, I also would write at lunchtime. I'd go in the cafeteria with a notepad and write. And then also I interviewed Anthony Johnson, one of our short story winners on our show Writer Talks, and he's got a day job and he said he writes in the evening. And in order to sort of break up the focus on his brain and get re-energized, he works, then he takes a walk, and then he does his creative writing in the evening and on the weekends. So there, where there's a will, there's a way, but you have to make that space. And I think that you should make your space as appealing as possible. You know, some people like to write in bed on their laptop or with a journal, you know, in a cozy space. And other people want to have a firm chair like at a kitchen table. So it's up to you to know your best aesthetic for writing, and it all contributes. And your wellness is, you know, the stereotype of the smoking writer who's like chugging whiskey and like typing at a typewriter and balling up the paper and throwing it in this big mess over on the floor. You know, that's an outdated stereotype of writers. I think wellness in mind, body, and spirit can only enhance your writing, because if your body's the machine that you use to do the writing, as is your brain, the computer. So you need those to be strong, well nourished, well hydrated, all that matters. Good ventilation. And so, and then you can even enhance it more with things like aromatherapy, like my rosemary oil really enhances my brain energy. And so when I just inhale my rosemary, it's proven by research that things like this can really help. Plus, it just enhances my experience. And since I spend so much time at my desk, I need to do as many things as possible to really enhance the experience. So, our message to you today on 10,000 Things is get off to a great start with your summary sentence by knowing your why, your target audience, your intention, and then create the time and space that you need to do an amazing job writing your book, and make that commitment, as Catherine said, to actually doing the work so you'll have a finished book that you can publish. Catherine, any thoughts on what other things people should do to get off to a good start?
Well, I just think the bottom line is, if this is your first book that you're writing and it's not your primary vocation, give yourself, the time and the space to come up with the best way to work at it. Because if you're expecting to sit down and just in a couple of days type out a novel or a book, it's not going to happen. So just be realistic and gentle and keep trying to find out how to make it happen, because only you are going to make it happen. And there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of steps. There are a lot of steps to get from point A to a published book.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of steps.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about writing, please do drop us a comment. We would love to even devote a whole show answering a topic that you'd like us to explore. So please do write to us here on the channel. Just write a comment, any challenge you're having, any question you're having, anything you'd like us to explore. We'd be delighted to do that. So meanwhile, we would invite you to visit twosisterswriting.com. I did our Writer Talks show earlier today about the ongoing contest that we're having this year. We're celebrating diverse voices, and we are seeking submissions that will be published in our anthology. So we're having a diversion from our usual fiction short stories to publish nonfiction, which can include essays and poems and anything you like. It's really wildly open, anything between 400 and 4,000 words per entry. And we also have a check no boxes contest that's ongoing all year. So, our mission, which Catherine created, is to celebrate diverse voices through our short story contest and now our Celebrating Diverse Voices contest because we expanded it. So,
And this month, in honor of Black History Month, the contest is African American voices.
yeah. And last month was older people over 60. And then some upcoming are including Indigenous people, immigrants, LGBTQ and gender, and people with physical disabilities. So we want to showcase all the amazing stories that everybody has to share that can uplift and inspire us all. So please do visit twosisterswriting.com, go to Seeking Submissions, and apply, enter right away. Has double meaning. Write, and then right away, like hurry up. All right. Anything else, Catherine?
That's all.
All right. Thank you for joining us for another episode of 10,000 Things, where Two Sisters Writing and Publishing tells you all the 10,000 things you need to know to write, publish, and promote your book. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the notification bell so you'll know every time we go live or upload a new video. Meanwhile, happy writing and happy reading. We'll see you next time.